Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? Today is Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. I pray that this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for inquiring. Yes, I am still in Los Angeles. Yes, the city is still percolating and reverberating. Um, some level of trauma and shock and but there's also a strong tremendous spirit of resilience and energy and community in Los Angeles as well. So I'm looking forward to making my contribution to that this Saturday, January 25th, at Soul Folks in Leimert Park. And I am, in honor of my putting love out into the world, one of the challenges that I do with my membership channel, I am going to be opening up that event, that public. Uh, I was calling it a lecture before, but I can't call it a lecture anymore because now after everything that's happened, it's kind of like I don't know if a lecture is quite the right vibration. I'm still trying to feel my way through that, but um, public speaking engagement, I'll say that, and meeting of the minds is going to be open to the public, and that part of the experience will start at 6 o'clock. We're also going to be having a private dinner for those who purchase tickets to come to the private dinner. Information for both of those things will be in the description, and a couple of people hit me up because I said it in a couple of videos that I was going to post the link and then I didn't. So my bad. Please pardon me. I'm also going to post this on my social media sites and send it out to my email list as well. But in the description, I will have the link to go directly to the link to get to the ticket to be able to access the event. All right. If you have any questions about that, you can email me at info@ZaZaAli.com. Also, this video and all of my content now through February 7th is part of a campaign that I'm currently running to sell 500 annual memberships at $50 each, which is a significant 75% savings, to have access to 12 months of all of my content, such as what you're seeing today and all of the content that I've been posting. And the goal of this campaign is to assist me with my textbook, Ancient People with Capital, for my textbook, Ancient People, which is now available, will be soon available in a reader hardcover version, as well as a workbook version, as well as a smaller version of the workbook. So I'm very excited about that. That's going to be available soon, but this has been a monumentous task. There was a need that needed to be filled in terms of the history and the culture and putting it on wax and adding the visual representations of all these great, powerful, beautiful, Black, ancient, melanated people from around the world. There was a need, so I filled it. It needed to be done, so I did it. And so now I'm asking for my people to support me in that endeavor in the spirit of reciprocity. Um, and I have one more. Oh yeah, I hope everybody knows that I also have videos on demand. I have on demand content on my website. If you go to my main page, there's a tab that has on demand. I haven't posted any videos as of late, but if you want to get a additional idea of what you will be getting if you sign up for the membership channel, you can go and access the on-demand videos. Most of them are $4.44. There's a few that are $3.33, and then a few that are $5.55. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. This particular conversation is, I do a Ask Me Anything segment once a month in my membership channel, and members can come forward and ask me my opinion on anything. If it's a health issue, something I'll look into and research and then give them my perspective, or it can be a trending topic or culture or race or relationships, whatever. And so I do post those videos on the 15th of every month. It's obviously the 22nd, but I didn't get any questions from my membership channel, but I did get 2 questions publicly from YouTube. So I'm going to be answering those questions today. Let me pull my screen up. And it's interesting because they were both actually very different, but also one question came from a male and then another from a female. But they are very similar in a certain regard. So the first question is, do you still take bentonite clay? Can you update on the supplements you take? Thanks for the great content. Yes, I'm going to do that right now. And then also the second question was, and I'm reading these back to back because there's, a lot of correlation between the two. Hi, Zaza. Please take on women's health for your next video. I would like to know how long is a woman's period supposed to last? I have fibroids and it's a nightmare. I'm sure other women have health concerns and would love to hear your opinions and recommendations. So I'm very, very, very happy that you asked this question. Actually, both of these questions, because the bentonite clay is one of the recommendations specifically for fibroids, and I have recommended this for several of my clients who have cured themselves from fibroids using the method of bentonite clay, which we're going to talk about in just a second. The I'm going to address her question first in particular because I'll close out with the clay and the supplements. I have a few videos and references I want to share with you guys. But in terms of the fibroids, right, there's multiple layers that you have to address that. Number one, your overall, diet and how you eat. If you have a diet that is heavy on dairy products as well as meat, depending on what type of meat, that is has a higher probability of creating not only clogged arteries but mucus within the body, which eventually becomes stuck energy. Starts as stuck energy, and then it ends up becoming mucus throughout the body. And so, as Dr. Sebi talked about, mucus being the root of all disease. And then another way to say that is, lack of oxygen flow throughout the body, which is hindered through mucus, lack of oxygen flow, but lack of energetic flow as well, right? And so, due to that lack of energetic flow in the womb area of the woman in particular, it's very important for women and Black women in particular because we hold a lot of emotional trauma, physical trauma as well, but emotional trauma and stuck and stagnant energy, right? For multiple reasons, but I'm not going to get into that. So I would also highly recommend doing, starting to a practice such as yoga. I mean, yoga is going to be my number one representation. Suggestion, right? Because I'm a yogi and because of the value that yoga has brought to my life, and because everything that I say is like I've actually proven it in my own experience, right? So the yoga aspect is one of those things that helps you to bridge the breathing with the physical body, right? And so that cohesion of breathing properly and sending that breath all the way through the bloodstream all around the body while you're doing these different postures like downward facing dog for instance, where you have your head more geared towards the floor. Even if you're just bending over or doing other postures, the fact that your head is all the way down and that the blood flow is going in a reverse direction and towards your head, right? It's like shaking up a bottle of juice, of fresh squeezed juice, if you sit it down for a minute and it starts to settle. And so all of the most important nutrients settle to the bottom. And so you shake the juice and then you drink it when it's all, blended correctly. Well, that's kind of how the bloodstream in the body works. So your oxygen intake is really, really, really important. And I've been saying, quoting Yogi Ramacharaka in The Science of Breath, a lot of people don't know that when you breathe in through the nose, that's a filtration process with the bristles in the nose that are sort of weeding out or limiting toxins from going in with the breath. And then when you breathe out through the mouth, you are expelling those toxins. So it's unhealthy to breathe with the mouth open. Breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth is the proper channel to do that. So the yoga aspect again will help you to get the spiritual and mental and the calming aspect of yoga is a whole different story. I'm just talking about moving stuck energy in the body, which is what fibroids is, which is what tumors are, which is what heart disease is, which is what anxiety and depression is, right? Which is what a lot of these physical ailments that produce themselves in the physical body are. It's stuck energy. So there's multiple ways of approaching this. We're mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical beings, right? So that's part of the spiritual way, and then that's also part of the physical way. Um, the bentonite clay, I'm going to show you the website where I order my clay and the book as well. I would highly recommend you purchase the book because the book has specific instructions for curing fibroids as well as tumors, um, as well as a bunch of other physical ailments. I highly recommend you getting the book and then also purchasing the clay. And it's a internal, meaning drinking, external, meaning physical application to a certain part of the body, as well as external in terms of taking a bath. So, and especially because you said you have, I'm assuming that your situation is a little bit more extraneous, right? More extreme or urgent. So you're definitely going to want to approach this in a three-prong approach. So you're going to need to buy more clay. There's like four sizes. There's maybe an 8 ounce, a 16 ounce, and then a 32 ounce, and then there's one above that, but you need the larger one. Like it's either half a gallon or a gallon because you're going to have to take baths in it, and you use a cup per bath. So get one of the larger. Um, um, I want to say bottles, but it's not a bottle. It's one of the larger. It's in a plastic container. It's just a large plastic container. You'll know it when you see it on the website. There's the plastic bags versus the plastic container, and you'll want to follow that regimen. Now, this is really important because we have the discipline aspect of making sure that you commit to this every single day. If it tells you to do it 3 times a day, do it 3 times a day. If it tells you to do it 4 or 5 times a day, you got to do it 4 or 5 times a day, right? For this to be effective. And you also have to drink a lot of water because the clay goes in and binds to all heavy metal particulates, for instance. That's why I always recommend it for heavy metal detox. It binds to inflation. It binds to mucus. It binds to everything in the system and flushes it out. So you have to drink a lot of water, and you have to do the regimen consistently. It may be for 10 days, it may be for 2 weeks, whatever it is. If you are committed to fixing your body and fixing this issue and being healthy, then I can guarantee you, and I only guarantee because I know what it does. I can't guarantee based on your habits, but if you follow the directions to a T, you can get rid of this issue with fibroids as well as tumors or anything else in the body using bentonite clay. Now, there's caveats, right? Again, you have to consistently drink water. Again, your diet is going to be critical in this. If you eat a lot of red meat, and especially the quality of meat, because all meat is not, halal meat is not the same as the meat you're buying in Walmart, right? I would never buy meat from Walmart. I don't even buy produce from Walmart. I might occasionally buy something in the freezer that's like a vegan something on the go. And I don't even know when the last time that is, but I would never buy meat from Walmart. Just a rule of thumb. They're conducting lab experiments through the Walmart clientele for sure. But so the way that you eat, right? And then meat, and again the particular types and quality of meat, and then also dairy products. And then the quality of dairy products, right? Because the cheese at Walmart is not the same cheese at one of the upper echelon holistic stores, hopefully, that we all have in our areas, right? So, but still, in terms of working on curing fibroids, I would completely eliminate all dairy from my body until you're done with this process. That quickens the process, and that also again helps you to clear those channels. The physical clearing of the channel is the actual fibroid, the physical manifestation, the physical tumor, the physical rash, right? Whatever the physical representation is. But then the energetic, which is the spiritual aspect, but the energetic just in terms of any energy flow, the energetic aspect is that you have to, using your breath and using through your breath, circulating energy to certain areas of your body that may be lacking it. And you do that when you properly learn how to breathe and you properly learn how to set the intention when you breathe. then that will help you to facilitate that process. I'm going to be doing my book club meeting live. This is another benefit of being in my membership channel. On the Saturday, February 1st, and then on Sunday, February 2nd, I'm going to be doing my group meditation live on YouTube, which is also a benefit to the membership channel. In the group meditation, I'm going to be doing specifically an emphasis on breathing regimens. So I will be able to assist you guys, or maybe, you know what I mean? We can have a meeting of the minds, and it'll be partial meditation. The first part is going to be focusing on breathing, and the last part is going to be a collective meditation. And I'm thinking about, if the air is clear, doing it at the beach, because it's always a vibe, right? And that's the part of LA that I love, and that's definitely a part of LA that I really need to experience at this point. But back to my point. So the bentonite clay, the water, you have to consistently drink a lot of water while you're on this regimen. Your diet is going to be critical. And then also great nourishing food, because the clay is going to, it's an extraction. So it's going in and pulling out anything that is not, that is a toxin, or, you know what I mean? Something that is uh, um, acidic in nature, something that is toxin or toxinous. That's a word, right? Heavy metals and whatnot. So it's going in and binding to those things, and then you expel it through using the bathroom. And I don't know if everybody knows that the bentonite clay, what bentonite clay really is volcanic ash. Man, I should have if I had thought about that before, I would have pulled up some information about that. But it's all good. I know I've talked about this before. But bentonite clay is volcanic ash, and you know, I've been studying these white lines in the sky for a long time, and the antennas that they're connected to all over the globe, and all that good stuff, and weaponizing our upper atmosphere, right? And I, you know, just always trying to figure out where's God in all of this. Where's, you know, how is the Most High seeing this? You know, where we at with this? Like, how are we gonna deal with this? And I'm not gonna say a voice spoke to me. It was just a kind of a revelation in my head, that the ash from the volcanoes is an organic, um, powerful way of neutralizing that technology. How far, you know what I mean, from a volcanic situation in terms of the ripple effect in the rest of the globe, I don't know, but it made perfect sense to me when I thought about the huge plumes of smoke, and then the whole process of the volcano erupting and the creation of landmass, and you know, that landmass going off into the water, right? So there's a lot of ripple effects from it. But I'm just saying, I had this revelation in my mind, and it brought me some calm and some ease. And it also made sense because in my research of the white lines in the sky, and understanding what is found within them, um, barium, strontium, aluminum, polymer fibers, all of these being having a metal chemical component to them, if I'm saying that the right way, um, I knew that the clay could neutralize those things. It makes sense because that's what the clay does, right? So all of this stuff, just, you know, as I've been researching all this time and trying to figure it out, I'm saying all of it now because I've been looking into these things for a very long time now. So there's trial and error, right? And seeing what works and what doesn't work. But in terms of the clay, I just wrote a list here of things that I have either recommended for my clients, or for family members, or you know, people who just reached out to me and asked me for, you know, advice on a circumstance they were dealing with, and then they turned around and followed up. Um, Fibroids, tumors, hair loss, hair thinning, acne, eczema, UTI, STDs, herpes, and yeast infections, and irregular periods. Those are just some of the things that I know for a fact that people who got the clay and followed the regimens tooth and nail were able to heal themselves from. Okay. So that's kind of my answer to the brother who asked the question about the clay as well. I also wanted to share a link with you guys, just to kind of back up the point. This is a website called bentoniteclay.info. Bentoniteclayinfo.com. And they have a bunch of testimonies on here of specific things that people used clay to approach issues, whether it's diabetic, it says diabetic, infected heel, ulcer, um, second and third degree burn on foot, migraine relief and energy with first dose, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue relief, acne scarring and skincare, eczema, liver, colon, tapeworms, and thyroid. There's a lot of things that this clay, if used right and applied right, can assist with. So that's one representation of that fact. And I think I didn't finish my whole point. I went off course. Um, I was talking about the clay. Oh, the clay being an extractor. Thank you for getting on track, Zaza. The clay being, it does the extraction, right? Taking from, withdrawing. There also has to be, you have to make sure that you are balancing that out with proper nutrition so that, the it's not that it's stripping you of your nourishment, but it's that that's what the clay does. It goes in and it extracts, right? And so the counterbalance to that is to just make sure that you are eating nourishing, green, alkaline foods in order to sort of balance that equation out. I'm not saying you have to completely change your diet, right? I'm just saying it's something to be conscientious and mindful of, along with the intake of water. So this is the website of the company that I use. And no, I don't have an affiliate link, although I really should. And if you guys purchase clay from this company, I'm also getting ready to recommend another brand as well. And you have any conversation with them, maybe you have to reach out for your order status, or maybe you end up talking to someone in customer service. Maybe you end up walking in a store, Pharmacy for Life in particular. Please let them know that ZaZa Ali sent you. I've already reached out to head to toe products. They don't have an affiliate program, but they have offered me a wholesale, or not offered me. I can set up a wholesale account with them and then resell the products, but that's something down the line. But the point is, um, this is their website, Head to Toe Products. And this company was originally Living Clay Co. That's, if you guys have been following me for some time, you know it used to be Living Clay Co. They sold their company. You also will remember me publicly freaking out, like, oh my God, I can't believe they sold, what are we gonna do now? And trying to find an alternative. But then I found out that the woman who owned the original Living Clay Co. actually started a new company, and she changed the regiment of not the regiment, the consistency of the clay is just a little bit more fine. The gradient, I'll say, is a little bit more fine than the original clay. And I didn't ask her, but I'm thinking it's probably because, maybe they have a trademark on the other one, or some legal stipulation that it can't be exactly the same as, in terms of competing with them. So anyway, this company has been in formation for at least a couple of years now. I've been ordering them from them consistently for the last, I think, 2 years. And everything seems to be, not seems to be, is as it was before. I can tell the difference in the texture, but in terms of, once I started making the clay poultices and the different modalities I was using it in, it works just the same. So this is the particular clay. I feel like I'm doing a concert, a commercial for this company. I swear. Make sure you guys, if you find a way, let them know that I'm plugging them, because I need an affiliate link. This is 3.5 gallons. You don't need that much. This is 1 gallon. So this is going to be, I would get this minimum size here, 4 pounds. And then if you can get 1 gallon, because again, you're going to have to take baths in this consistently. And make sure when you take a bath, that the water is hot enough to completely immerse the clay, because you don't want clay lumps going down your pipes. So even, while you're in the tub, make sure that you get as much of the larger clay lumps out of the water, so you don't have that issue later on down the line. Okay. But the warmer the clay is, the less likely that that's going to happen, because it's not clumpy to the point where it's going to create hard lumps in warmer temperatures. So again, you got a serious issue that you have to purge through. I would recommend getting probably at minimum the 4 pounds, but maybe the 1 gallon. And then let me go back to the other page. This is the book that you can purchase separately, but that I highly recommend, Calcium Bentonite Clay. This book gives you a list of all of the different ailments that you can treat with the clay, including tumors and fibroids, as well as a host of other things. Like I said, all the other things I listed in this list. Corporal tunnel syndrome. I healed myself from corporal tunnel in both of my wrists at a certain point. I had, I'm a writer, and I was typing like crazy and not properly, taking care of my wrists and not doing yoga. And so once I realized how serious the situation was, and I knew I wasn't getting surgery, I didn't even go to the doctor and get diagnosed. I just knew what it was, because I knew I'd seen 2 people get surgery for it. I just started applying poultices, the clay poultices around my wrists, and applying saran wrap, doing that on my left wrist and my right wrist. And I was doing it 4 or 5 times a day for at least an hour at a time. I did that consistently for a couple of weeks, and then I leaned heavily into my yoga. I think those things, the clay, did what it needed to do initially, and then I stepped my yoga game up. So it was a combination of those 2 things that really helped me to heal corporal tunnel syndrome in my wrists from typing from the phones, etc. So it's also been very beneficial to me. So that, as well as many other ailments, as well as the to-do list, not to-do list, the instructions, step-by-step instructions for how to create a clay poultice, which is what I created when I wrapped it around my wrists and then wrapped it with saran wrap, or how to create just the water, use water and shake it up and drink it that way, or add it to a smoothie, or put it in the bathtub, right? Or apply it to a specific physical area, and then, do you allow it to dry, or do you put the saran wrap on top of it so that you can keep it warm, so that it is pulsating and, drawing out through whatever the situation is through that pulsation. So that book I highly recommend. And then the clay, again, I highly recommend. And they have other products too, but all I really buy is the clay, and I have the book, and I've been recommending this product for years and years. Make sure, if you have a way, to tell them that ZaZa Ali sent them and has been singing their praises for at least 15 years from now. 15 years now. And the second site that I wanted to recommend to you guys is Pharmacy for Life, which is by Adjua Styles and Styles P, who is from the Locks. And I've been ordering their products for a long time now. The black seed oil, the Irish sea moss, and this is the second part of your question, the one who asked about the clay, in terms of my current regimen. So I'm going to tell you what I take consistently, but I just want to share this site with you guys. The sea moss and bladderwick, I ordered this for myself and my son. The King of the Jungle, I ordered that for my son. Black seed oil, I take that consistently, as well as the oil of oregano drops, which are here. So I highly recommend Pharmacy for Life's site in terms of everything that you see here. And they they have everything that you could possibly need. Not everything, but a lot of the things that you need to, if you just, did some of these basic things, because you don't have to do everything. Depending on what your budget for health and well-being is, then you can kind of decide from there. You don't have to do all of this stuff, right? You can kind of, something like black seed oil and Irish sea moss is the sort of great starting point if you already have a baseline of health. If you are dealing with pre-existing conditions or other physical ailments, then you got to step it up and go deal with the clay and do some fasting, right? All that stuff. It's all sort of intermingled, but I don't want it to feel like, because this stuff can get expensive. Like, if you have it to spend, or if you can chip away at it and get one thing here, one thing there, go for it. And if you can't, then just get the basic things that'll give you your body the right type of nutrition that it needs. And then of course, fasting is always critical as well. So let me make sure I answered all of your questions. The In terms of the women's health, I'm going to do a part 2 to indulgence versus discipline, where I talk about part 1 was about sex and men in particular, and part 2 is going to be about sex, but women in particular. And I'm going to get a little bit more in depth in terms of the menstrual cycle for women. But your healthy cycle should be no more than, and when I say healthy, I'm talking about a woman who eats really, really clean and has and a continuity of good health, somewhere between 2 to 3 days. And I really want to say 2 days, but I know some women are going to hear this and be like, no, that's crazy. My cycle is 5 days or 7 days. If you got a 7 day cycle, then yeah, you definitely need to, even a 5 day cycle, you definitely need to, start taking a holistic approach and being on the offensive in terms of healing that part of your cycle. Because what I learned when I did I was fasting, doing the 3 day fast every month, and I would do it at the beginning of the month. And so whatever was happening, it didn't matter. I was on a clock, right? It starts that first Thursday and then it ends that Sunday evening. And so sometimes my cycle would fall right around that time when I was fasting. And it was like, but I was like, nah, it doesn't matter. I'm sticking to the fast. And so what I recognized and what I put in my Keys to Womanhood workbook, which is what the book that I'm going to be drawing from in that second video I talked about, is that your cycle and your flow is dependent on what's going on in your body. So the cleaner you eat, the less toxins there are to be expelled. The more alkaline your diet is, the less work your system has to do in terms of cleanup and that whole, flushing process, which is what the cycle is. So when I was fasting and the timeline sort of lined up, I would have very, very, very light cycles and no pain, like very, not even really difficult couple of days, right? So I'm not saying you have to fast during your cycle. I'm saying 1 week before your cycle, clean up your diet. Like go for a whole week straight, just 7 days before your cycle starts. Just go a whole week, like really focused on eating clean. If you can take the dairy out, cool. If you can't take the dairy out, then you need to work on your discipline, but and your willpower. But because I feel like you can do anything you put your mind to, especially if you are dealing with physical ailments and the pain that comes with fibroids, or the pain that comes with a lot of the menstrual issues, cycle issues that women have. And I've heard a lot of stories, and you know what I mean? And so a week before your cycle, do a fast where you're only every day, maybe eating green 2 times a day and then a regular meal the third meal, depending on how you eat. I only eat 1 meal a day. So, it's not as complicated for me. But if you're one of those people that eats 2 or 3 times a day, then make 2 of those meals green. And then the other one can be a full, regular type of meal. Hopefully a little bit cleaner. But during that original week, set your that preceding week to your cycle, set your body up so that it has less heavy, dense toxins to expel, and see what happens. And I say that for all women on all the different, spectrums of major debilitating cramps to, no cramps at all, or super heavy flow to irregular cycles, right? And if you're having an irregular cycle now, and particularly, depending on your sexual partner, depending on if you've taken that shot, depending on if your sexual partner has taken that shot, it is absolutely affecting women all over the world in terms of the continuity or the regularity or the irregularity of their cycles. It's just a fact. So I also wrote an article, and I just revised it actually yesterday. I posted it on my social media pages, on my Facebook and Instagram stories. But it's called "If You Took the Shot," and I just updated it and added a couple of new things that I wanted to share with you guys. And so, if you want to get a copy of that article, it has a lot of references and resources that I think are a good direction for people who may have either taken it or who have been impacted indirectly. Because yes, we are talking about the shot that keeps on giving. It has the potential to do that. If you see my Kingdom Within web series, then you already know the knowledge. You already know the science behind it. I've been talking about this for 2-3 years now. You know what I'm saying? How is that possible? Yes, it's, they've proven it was possible. But I'm saying all of that to say that irregular cycles and major cycle issues right now, if you have sexual partners and you know what I mean, these are all things that have to be considered. Not a joke, it's not a game no more. So when I'm talking about sexual discipline now, like, yeah, it has a whole different connotation to it. God is in the details. So if we use that as an analysis, that God is in the details, what does God want us, the children of the Most High, to do in this hour? Be sexually disciplined. And that's even if you have a mate. I don't mean sexual discipline the way you would be if you were not in a relationship, but being cognizant of your and respectful and honoring your sexual energy in a whole different level. And not just like for men, we talked about this in the other video. Seeing your life force energy is sacred. And the older you get, the less you're supposed to be, expressing that life force energy. That's what ejaculation is all about. So these are the type of conversations we need to start having. We upping the standard on the conversations with this type of content. It's what I do with my membership channel. The things that the men were struggling with, in terms of our fathers and our uncles and our grandfathers, our sons shouldn't still be dealing with that same stuff. I arm my son with books from powerful, highly intelligent men that help to navigate the landscape of what it is in terms of becoming a man. That's what I did with Keys to Womanhood for girls and for women. And in terms of it's so funny when I talk about the organic war, the synthetic war on organic life, which is, the devil or Satan's modus operandi. I think the fact that our that whole process of the menstrual cycle has been so weaponized against us, even to the point where now we harbor all of the resentment, all of the pain, all of the trauma, all of the the disrespect, including the way, if disrespecting ourselves is a part of the story. But all of that energy is held in that space because that's where all of the power is, right? Stuck energy has to flow. Everything has to flow through that area for the woman because that's a power center. And yes, because of the reproductive aspect in terms of bringing life. Yes, in terms of this being a central focus in terms of the chakras, right? And the way the energy is moving up. And so that particular part of the chakra system and how, if you're operating from your higher self, it expresses versus the lower self. We talked about that in the previous video. But I'm just saying, like, we're at a point now where it's going to take us taking ourselves to the next level to get to the next level. We see how wild and wicked this shit is. I mean, Elon Musk just, I want to do another video about that, but it's in my notes. I got like 4 notebooks surrounding me, and I just veered to the side and saw his name, and I got triggered. Me and all of the the ghosts of ancestors past, full fledged, I mean, triggering happening. But yeah, we got to step our game up in terms of the way we take care of ourselves. So, second part, can you do an update on the supplements you take? Yes. So I just showed you Pharmacy for Life. For me, I get my son's herbs from there too. But for me, I get the black seed oil, the oil of oregano, and the sea moss and bladderwick combo. And then I also take, and I'm gonna read all this stuff off, but it's like I don't take. Sometimes I'll take all of it in one day. Sometimes I'll take half. You know what I mean? It's kind of sporadic. Depends on depending on what I got going on. But this is all stuff that I do in continuity. Chlorophyll in the water. That's the internal body deodorizer. And super green food. That's not what I want to say, but chlorophyll is plant melanin basically. Chlorella, which is also a heavy metal detoxing. Chlorella is also a superfood, but it also binds to heavy metal particulates in the body and exposes them. There's a word, I don't think I'm saying it, but y'all know what I'm saying. Same thing that clay does, just in a different way, but it's also a superfood. So it's one of those ways of supplementing that balance that I talked about, that nourishment balance from the clay taking out and then making sure we're replenishing. So chlorophyll and chlorella do that. Chia seeds is also a heavy metal binding, also binds to toxins in the body, and so is cilantro. Um, and then clay, like I said. So one of the ways, the easy way to blend all of this would be to make a smoothie that has chia seeds, cilantro, and clay, and what else? Chia seeds, cilantro, clay. Oh, and then I would do oats, raw oats, and then a banana, some frozen pineapples, some frozen blueberries, some coconut water, and then that way you know what I mean, sort of kill 2 birds with 1 stone with a super powerful, and some spinach. I said cilantro. That's a really powerful way to start the day in terms of a smoothie and sort of knocking off those 4 different things in terms of your daily regimen. Again, the clay takes discipline. And then colloidal silver is another thing that I keep handy, especially on days when there's heavy white lines in the sky. There's the nasal spray that will clear up anybody who has what they're calling quote unquote long CVD, or serious strenuous pressure in the nostrils, or mucus in the throat, pressure in the front part of the face that you can't get rid of. Get some colloidal silver nasal spray, and then also you can get the kind that you drink. But if you have that issue in the nose and in the throat area, I would recommend the nasal spray to address that. And then if you've been continuously getting those tests to test and see if you had the those things are dangerous, please stop. And though there's probably the reason why you're having sinus infections, why you're having long CVD, why you're having all of that pain in the front of your face and high pressure situations. Yeah, because that's, please, family, just listen to me. Please just listen to me. Please, no, I'm not gonna get on here and tell y'all stuff. I just feel like I should have proven this. You should have a certain level of faith and trust in me on certain things in this at this point. Now I try to hide some of the scary details, but if you guys want to, we can talk about that too. But I'm just saying, let's stop the testing, okay? So I said colloidal silver, um, thinning hair. I've had 3 clients of mine who use this, and the actual recipe is on my Instagram page somewhere. If you DM me on Instagram, I'll send it to you in terms of the measurements. But a combination of the bentonite clay with coconut oil with apple cider vinegar, and creating a mask, and then wetting your hair, and then applying that over your whole entire scalp and then over your whole entire hair. It's the tedious process. It's kind of like putting in a perm. But if your hair is thinning or if you're losing your hair, even like in the front, pulling ponytails too tight, braids and all of that, use that remedy and apply it in your hair like a perm. And I guarantee you, within 2 uses, doing that every 2 weeks, you will start to see your hair growing back. Okay? Thank you, letter. Let me make sure I don't have any other questions. Let me show you guys real quick. Hopefully everybody knows, but just in case you don't know, I am a 7-time author. I just recently released my most recent book, Ancient People, a social studies and history textbook. I also have an ebook called Practical Steps to Health and Well-Being that I give a summation of all the stuff I'm talking about. I have a few more things in terms of my regimen that I left off, but Practical Steps to Health and Well-Being is sort of a basic, here's some basic information for overall health and well-being. That's an ebook. It's $8.88. You purchase it on my website and then it will be delivered to your email, as well as the Keys to Womanhood workbook, which I talked about some of that today, as well as all of my content. Black Matters Volume 1 was about the scientific intervention in our affairs, where I was talking about the white lines in the sky, right? I put that book out in 2015. So when I'm talking about, remedies and things that we can use to help us to navigate that part of this war, because we can't act like that part of this war is not happening. We're susceptible to this stuff. And so this is all stuff I've been doing for like 10, 15 years now, right? So my internal body has been built up to a certain degree through the regiment, through the discipline, right? The other thing I wanted to add, this was on my list, and I just totally skipped over it. Reishi, ginkgo, and ginseng. And those are all brain power pellets. People like to talk about how big my head is, the UC, so I have to make sure that my supplemental regimen makes sure that my brain is operating at full capacity. So reishi, ginkgo, and ginseng, and all three of those have a host of other longevity benefits. Too much for me to get into detail about right now, but you guys have the internet, so you can look up. I think Pharmacy for Life has a lion's mane mushroom regimen, which is also really good. I purchased that before. Yeah, and my particular brand, I buy my brand from Simply Wholesome in LA. And I can't think of the names right now, and I don't have them in front of me. But reishi, you can get that in a powder substance. You can add it to your your tea, or your probably your tea that's hot. Or you can also get it in a capsule, where you can just take it like a pill, and then of course ginkgo and ginseng as well. So I think that's everything I wanted to share with you guys. Oh, last thing. If you look up, hold on. Yeah, I said the heavy metal detox. I had a client before who I was running all of this down to her. She was having some physical issues, and she did some research and came back and told me her doctor told her not to use bentonite clay because it had lead in it and all of the negative, ramifications of lead. And so she ended up listening to her doctor, which was fine, and whatever. But if they test everything that is open to the skies, whether it's our produce, whether it's rice, grains, the water spill off from the mountains, they're gonna find lead in everything because they're spraying it in our skies, right? So the lead aspect of this, I took that into consideration because I heard it, so I had to do my research. But because I already had the backdrop of what I knew was in the lines in the sky, I just kind of knew. It's not to say that you excuse it and just say, okay, well, lead's in everything. That's cool. No, but I'm saying, like, outweighing the risks from the benefit, that type of thing. And again, I know this stuff works because it has assisted me and helped me tremendously, as well as many other people. So I just wanted to say that because I know the intelligent people that think for themselves are going to go probably do some research before they purchase this. So when you run into the lead conversation. You're going to see that. And this is just, most of those people that are doing that research are not talking about the fact that there is a global, worldwide agenda happening right above our heads where they are spraying stuff that has increased the percentage of lead and aluminum and barium and strontium and all this other stuff in the water samples and the rain samples and the soil samples. The verification is on record. So that's just a little bit of context. And make sure you guys, I mean, not make sure, as a reminder, I wrote an article called If You Took the Shot. If you want to get additional resources and information in terms of that, send me an email to info@ZaZaAli.com and I will send that to you directly by email. These are all of my books. Again, I'm running a campaign right now to support for capital for ancient people. You can get information for all of that in the description. And I appreciate you guys for all the love and the support. And I will see you beautiful people Saturday if you're in LA, and everybody else very soon. Peace and love.